Hi, and welcome to Purple Collar Life. I'm Chad. If this is your first video with us, thanks for stopping by. If you've been following us all along, thanks for coming back. This is our 1948 Ford 8N tractor. This tractor has been in the family since it was new, right here on the family homestead. So it has been passed down generation to generation, and it's still doing work on the same family land that it grew up on. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about 6 things that this Ford 8N tractor does really well. As we talk about the things that the Ford 8N tractor does really well, keep in mind that that pertains to a lot of the Ford tractors, whether it's the 2N, the 9N, the 600, the Jubilee, the NAA, but there are some differences between the Ford 8N and the Ford 9N/2N, and you can learn more about that in other videos. I will be putting links down below in the description to our whole Ford 8N playlist that includes lots of information about doing a lot of work and upkeep on the Ford 8N tractor. One of the things that the Ford 8N tractor does really well is what I call brush hogging. I know a lot of you call it bush hogging. Some of you call it just using a rotary cutter. But you can see I've moved the tractor here beside this Woods M5 mower, because a lot of times if you're looking at a Ford 8N tractor, one of the things you hope to do with it is clear some fields or clear some trails, and the Ford 8N tractor with an appropriately sized brush hog will do exactly that. We've got the Woods M5 brush hog here, and a 5-foot brush hog is a good size for a Ford 8N tractor as long as you're clearing area that isn't too crazy. So if you're clearing a field, I'll put a video link up above. If you've got a big field, 5, 10, 15 acres, and you're trying to mow it down with the Ford 8N brush hog, it'll do that work, but make sure you do it the right way. And I've got video tips on how to use a brush hog, and then a video on what to do or what to look for to see if your Ford 8N tractor is overheating. I'll put those video links up above. But mowing and brush hogging are some of the things you can do with a Ford 8N tractor with the PTO. I've made mention in several videos about the importance of the overrunning coupler. That is a super important thing, and make sure you watch those videos I made that explains why you need that overrun coupler. I made a video in the past about how much is a Ford 8N tractor worth, and you'd be surprised how many of them you see listed on Facebook Marketplace that include a brush hog, because a lot of people have used these tractors for decades to brush hog trails through the woods, clear fields, and just maintain property. So it's not uncommon to find a Ford 8N tractor with a brush hog that's to be sold as a set on Marketplace. Number 2 thing that a Ford 8N tractor can do really well is use a back blade to level dirt or grade a driveway. You can see there's a long driveway behind us here at the homestead, and we have a long driveway at our house. And I've made several videos about using the Ford 8N tractor with the back blade to grade your driveway and keep your driveway in good shape. Now, a lot of people may say you need a box blade or a land plane to do a nice job on a driveway. Well, I can tell you after 20-some years with the back blade and the Ford 8N tractor, I think I'm just as good with that back blade at keeping the driveway in good shape as I would be if I had a box blade. So with the back blade on the Ford 8N tractor, you can do a lot more than just fix up your driveway. You can also reclaim rutted paths or barn lots. So if you've had a muddy, wet springtime and you've rutted up the yard or the barn area or the pasture, you can use that back blade, spin it around backwards, and level off those ruts so you're not leaving those ruts as they harden throughout the summertime. You can also use the Ford 8N with the back blade to do some light contouring. So if you need to keep a ditch clean or give yourself a little bit of a grade that forms a ditch or a swallow for the water to go running down, the Ford 8N tractor with the back blade can do that. I've talked in the past about how to use the 3-point hitch, but this right here allows you to raise or lower the right-hand side of the 3-point hitch, which can let you make that angle either for creating a crown on a driveway or creating a little bit of a ditch along the side of a road or along the side of a pasture. So once again, with these type of tractors being so readily available and such a value buy in my mind, it's a great idea to have a tool like this to keep your driveway and your property in good shape using a back blade. This is the rear 3-point carryall, and it has certainly carried it all. We use this thing all the time for hauling firewood, for getting things from point A to point B. So if you're moving something from the garage down to the barn You can lower the carryall down to the ground, slide the piece of, let's say, a washer or dryer you're getting rid of, slide it onto the carryall, lift it up with the tractor, and move it out of the way. The carryall is certainly a very utility and versatile tool, and very easy to use on the back of the Ford 8N tractor. This particular carryall has probably had cords and cords and cords of firewood stacked on it and moved, oftentimes used to move firewood from the barn up to the house, or from where it's being cut down to the barn to season. You can also use it to haul tools, fencing supplies, hay, or feed, and even for loading small debris or rocks during a field cleanup, the carryall certainly can be used for a million different tasks. Make sure you leave a comment down below if you've got a carryall like this. These were very common 3-point attachment carryalls that are used on a wide variety of tractors. Leave a comment if you've used one and what you've used it for. If you haven't already, this is a great point in the video to click that like button, click the subscribe button if you're not already following us. Make sure you make it a mental note to click the rest of the playlist about the Ford 8N tractors, and leave those comments. So task number 4 that the Ford 8N tractor does really well is some light tilling or plowing. This thing can easily tow a single bottom plow. Double bottom plow really depends on how hard the ground is and how much work it is for the tractor, because these don't have a ton of horsepower, but they can definitely move some dirt. That single bottom plow will work fine with it. You can run a set of discs with this. A lot of things you can do with these old farm tractors that farmers did for many, many decades. Now, one of the differences, I mentioned before that there would be differences between the 8N and the 2N and the 9N. One of the differences we've explained in detail in another video, which is actually one of our most popular videos, and that's the mysterious lever under the seat. That's a big difference when it comes to plowing dirt between the 8N and the 2N. So check out that video to understand exactly what this lever does under the seat and why it's a benefit on the Ford 8N tractor. Number 5, the 5th thing that this tractor does really well is post hole digging. There is an auger that you can put on the back of the Ford 8N tractor, uses the PTO and the 3-point hitch, and it makes putting those posts in the ground much easier, much faster than digging by hand. Now, it does require you have those stabilizer bar supports on the back of your tractor, so I'll put a video link to where we put those stabilizers on the rear of the tractor so you could run something like a post hole auger. But it also, those stabilizer links also allow you to put the stabilizer bars on that keep the 3-point hitch from swaying back and forth so much if you're doing something like towing a trailer or even running the brush hog. So if you pair the Ford 8N tractor with a 3-point post hole digger, it becomes a powerful fencing tool. Dig post holes faster than by hand for sure. It's ideal for new fence lines, mailbox posts, signposts, or orchard planting. It runs well with most standard PTO driven augers. The only downside to the Ford 8N and digging a hole with an auger is that there is no down pressure on the 3-point hitch, but it does have up pressure, up pull, lift to pull that auger up out of the ground. I recommend doing small depths at a time because the auger can actually corkscrew itself down into hard ground, and then it can actually be really difficult to get the tractor to lift it up out of the ground. So just like you were drilling a piece of metal, go in a little bit, then lift back up, and a little bit more, lift back up. You want to pull that material up out of the hole so you're not just corkscrewing down into the ground. Number 6 on the list of things the Ford 8N tractor can do really well is tow or haul a wagon or a trailer. Here in the woods behind me is our old hay wagon. So back when we had horses here at the homestead, before this thing all fell apart, this was the hay wagon we used to haul hay from the front field we were just in up to the barn. And you can see, as they were back then, hay wagons were not the big, huge purchase things. A lot of times people made their own hay wagons. And if you look at this one, you can see this is the rear axle off of an old V8 vehicle. You can see the V8 logo on the hubcap there. And this is how hay wagons were often made back in the day. You can see it's just a homemade frame. The wood from it's actually right behind it there in a stack. And this was how we hauled hay up to the barn. But the Ford 8N tractor works great for towing a hay wagon or a wagon full of firewood, or just pulling things around in the yard, whether it's a utility trailer. It's nice because the Ford 8N tractor oftentimes has a drawbar, but if it doesn't, the 3-point attachment like this, the Ford 8N used to have a support system that would have brackets going from down here at the corner up to the top link 3-point, and then you would try to keep that drawbar, which was going across between the bottom arms, from twisting around as you tried to tow something. But in more recent decades, they have these 3-point attachments that make a hitch. And you can see it attaches the top, the left, and the right point, and then allows you to put a receiver ball, a receiver hitch in that, and it makes it much better for towing a piece of equipment or towing a trailer around with the tractor. You can see here those stabilizer bars we talked about earlier. Having those on there limit how much this can move side to side. And that's really nice because without those, these would sway left to right until the chains got tight right there beside the PTO to the center of the right and left arms. But having those stabilizer bars keeps it all really tight. And as you can imagine, especially when you're backing up with the trailer, you don't want this thing swaying back and forth left to right. Here's a good example of Dad's firewooding setup. So we've got the tractor here. Can use that 3-point attachment we just talked about to tow this utility trailer full of firewood, and then start stockpiles for future years because firewood has to season around here. This is all Pennsylvania hardwood firewood, and it takes at least a year, sometimes 2 to season. We've got lots of videos about firewooding and talking about the importance of letting that firewood season. Here's some other attachments that were commonly found on the Ford 8N tractors. There's a scoop, like a dirt scoop, that hooks onto the 3-point hitch. There's a lifting pole for the 3-point hitch. People use those all the time to lift all kinds of different things. You can see there's a hook on it here. There's that 3-point auger I talked about. That's an original Ford 8N 3-point auger. So there you go, 6 things that the Ford 8N tractor does really well. Now I know I really shortchanged this machine because there's actually a million things this tractor does really well and has done really well for over 75 years. These are amazing machines. Obviously, I love pieces of equipment like this and things that have cool history, like the Ford 8N tractor that we've had here on the homestead since it was new. Thanks for watching. Make sure you leave those comments down below, the type of things you do with your classic tractor, whether it's a Ford 8N, a 2N, an NAA, a Jubilee, a Farmall Cub. Any of those old classic tractors, I think, have a ton of potential and are still being used today by many people just like us to do regular work on farms, homesteads, and properties. Thanks for watching. Make sure you click that like button, click the hype button if you can see it, leave those comments down below, share the video with a friend, and hopefully we'll see you again the next time. Thanks for watching. In a future video, we're going to be talking about one other thing the Ford 8N tractor does really well. There's a great story behind it. So if you're not already following us, make sure you click that subscribe button and the bell so you get notified when we put out new videos. Little hint, it's underneath that tarp.